Hi, what is a disciple? This is probably the most misunderstood topic in Christianity today. Misunderstanding this topic can cause one to either misunderstand the gospel or can cause someone to totally misunderstand the Christian life. Watch this video, you will be amazed. And at the end I'll share one passage that you can use to explain this to others. Many boys during the time of Christ wanted to become the disciple of a rabbi. A rabbi is a teacher or a mentor, generally in a synagogue. Although during the time of Christ they would travel around quite a bit. The word disciple actually in the Hebrew is talmid or talmidim in plural. Most of the boys were never able to become a disciple because the standards were very high. Being a disciple was such a huge honor. Think of it as becoming a professional football player. So 5 to 6-year-old boys would start of their training in Beth Sefer, which is like elementary school. They would use the Torah or the 5 books of Moses, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy to learn reading, writing, math, and other sciences. They would learn these things through the study of the Torah. The goal would be for them to have the entire Torah or 5 books of Moses memorized. As you can imagine, that was quite the accomplishment. They would memorize this actually by singing those books. Most didn't make it, but they still memorized a lot. If they didn't make it, they could go and work in a family's business. The boys that had the Torah memorized could move on to the next level. This was called Beth Midrash. They would do this from the age of 12 to 15. During that time, they would memorize other parts of the Old Testament, also called the Tanakh. While they did this, they would also learn their family's business. One of the reasons being is that very few would be able to memorize the entire Old Testament, as you can imagine. So the vast majority of them would be finished by the time they were 15 years old. Now, the ones who would finish this level of Beth Midrash could try to study with a rabbi personally. They would ask a rabbi if they could become a disciple or a talmid of the rabbi. The rabbi would test them, and if they qualified, they would enter into Beth Talmud with the rabbi. Generally, that would last for about 15 years, from the age of 15 to 30. Beth Talmud was really an apprenticeship program to become a rabbi themselves. It was full-time training. The goal of a disciple or a talmid would be to become exactly like the rabbi. They would literally follow the rabbi around and observe him. There was a saying that a disciple should follow the rabbi so close that they were covered by the dust of the rabbi. There's a huge difference between being a student and a disciple. A student wants to learn from the teacher and know what the teacher knows. For instance, I was a calculus teacher. The students wanted to pass the class. A disciple, however, would want to become just like me. As far as I knew, I didn't have any disciples in that course, but I had plenty of students. They just wanted to learn from me and pass the course. Now, at the end, the verse I promised. Luke 6 verse 40. It says that the disciple will be just like the rabbi or the teacher. Make this as your goal. In 1 John 2 verse 6 it says, he that saith that he abides in him ought himself also so to walk even as he walked, as Jesus walked. So our lives need to be a reflection of Christ. Maybe become just like Christ, or as Paul said, to follow him as he followed Christ. Now, in closing, I want to make very clear, being a disciple is not the same as being saved. You are saved by grace through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is a gift of God. So trust in Jesus as your Savior and watch this video, because I go through it in far more detail, that you can know for sure you're going to heaven. It's very important. So don't confuse those two. But being a disciple is, like I said, is being an apprentice of a rabbi. So God bless you. Bye-bye.